at Drive by Incubus. This is going to be a great song for maybe learning some new chords, some jazzy sounding chords like E minor 9, C major 7, stuff like that, if you're not familiar with those, but regardless, very cool sounding chords. And it's also going to be great for dealing with some minor pick work, arpeggiating some strings while also dealing with some left hand transitions and determining which fingers in the left hand are going to be best to place down, basically laying out a specific sequence for these chords based on what notes we need to play first, which I will walk you through. So let's look at the chords first. We've got an E minor chord, and this is kind of a cool little chord that it's kind of exposing some of these open strings and getting kind of a typical E minor sound that we're used to getting, but up higher on the neck and using some of these open strings. Key of E minor, E major, always works really well on the guitar. So that is, I'll just go by string and fret number, and then I'll give you the fingering. So E minor, this is going to be string 6 open, string 5 fret 7, string 4 fret 9, string 3 open, string 2 fret 8, and string 1 open. So we've got 3 open strings in there, only 3 fingers on. That's finger 1 on string 5 fret 7, finger 3 ring finger on string 4 fret 9, and finger 2 middle finger on string 2 fret 8. E minor. Then we transition to this E minor 9 chord. Okay, a little bit of a stretch for the index finger here, if you can see that. Ooh, pull that back that way. But what you want to do is just let this index finger try to lay down a little bit. You don't want to get too high up on the tip, because that's something that shifts these fingers around and we lose some of our flexibility and dexterity there to be able to pull some of these shapes off. So that is string 5 fret 7, string 4 fret 5, string 3 fret 7, and string 2 fret 7. So 4 strings there. And that's finger 2, 1, 3, and 4. Very cool sounding chord, E minor 9. And then we jump to a C major 7 here. And no need to place a bar down if you don't want to. I mean, you could get that note on top. I'm not really hearing it in the recording, but it's not going to change too much. So I'm keeping it on strings 5, 4, 3, 2, just like the E minor 9 chord. So this is string 5 fret 3, string 4 fret 5, string 3 fret 4, and string 2 fret 5. And that's finger 1, and then finger 3 on string 4, finger 2 on string 3, and finger 4 on string 2. C major 7, real pretty chord. And then from here we're going to jump. I'm going to leave finger 3 where it's at, and then I'm going to take my middle finger and put it on string 6 fret 5. And so this is a kind of broken down A7 chord, if you will. We've got an A note and a G, and we could also catch that open G there. So I'm really just focusing on playing string 6 fret 5 with my middle finger there. String 5 is muted by my middle finger, so just kind of the cushy part of my finger pad. And string 4 fret 5 with my ring finger. And like I said, if that third string gets in there, third string open, no big deal, it's going to sound good. You actually could probably strum all of those strings, it's going to sound just fine. Yeah, it's going to work. So I'm typically trying to aim for strings 6 through 4, 6 through 3, something like that, keep it on the low end. Just kind of partitioning the chord there a little bit. Okay, that is for the verse section, and then we've got another C major 7 in the chorus. Chorus is way more approachable, or just easier. So this is going to be a C major 7, so if you're familiar with just a standard C major chord, lift your index finger off. So I've got finger 3 on string 5 fret 3, finger 2 on string 4, fret 2, and then strings 3, 2, and 1 are open. You could use this same C major 7 from the verse, but the other chord we're going to play here is an open A7 chord, so keeps everything nice and close. So C major 7 again, that's string 5, fret 3, string 4, fret 2, and then 3, 2, and 1, open. And I'm just going to leave my middle finger there and move my ring finger to string 2, fret 2 for my A7. So that's open, string 5, string 4, fret 2, finger 2, string 3, open, string 2, fret 2, finger 3, and string 1, open. A7, so very common chords there. All right, so what I would recommend doing is getting these chords down. One, just being able to put your fingers on them. All right, just practicing strumming them, making sure that you can visualize them, right? You have to be able to see where your fingers are going to go before you move your hand. That's a very important part of just playing in general, and maybe more so with chord shapes where the hand can get kind of confused as it's transitioning from one chord to another, if we're not planning that out, so to speak. So going from E minor here to E minor 9, I'm going to walk you through this in more detail, but this is just something that I would recommend that you play around with initially before trying to play the song. The biggest pitfall that people find themselves in is just expecting themselves to be able to play whatever it is they want to play right off the bat. They start doing too much too soon, and then the ear hears it that way, the physical memory is learned as such, and it just becomes a mess to unravel. So slow practice and very conscientious, planned out, sequenced practice. Take small steps and the reward comes much sooner. So, I think that was E minor, and then going to an E minor 9. This is probably going to feel the funkiest here. All right, just because that index finger has to stretch out there a little bit. And then to C major 7 and A7. If you can get the verse chords, the chorus chords are not going to give you any issue. So in terms of transitioning, I would be leading with my middle finger to get to that string 5 fret 7 on that E minor 9 chord, because we want to play that note first before we go strumming the chord. So coming out of the E minor, we're going to transition and get that string 5 fret 7, and fingers 1, 3, and 4 can follow. Now here, we're a little bit closer to the shape of the next chord than we were going from E minor to E minor 9. So E minor 9 to C major 7, you don't want to take your hand off and jump, right? That's one big mistake that a lot of people make. So plan this out. The pinky is already on the string that it needs to be on. The ring finger is very close. It just is going to have to move up to string 4. And then fingers 1 and 2 are going to exchange. So I'm going to use common fingers here, or at least fingers that are in the vicinity of where they need to be. The pinky is already where it needs to be, so that can definitely be a guide finger that slides me in position. The ring finger is very close, the index finger is very close to where it needs to be as well. So as I slide, I'm just going to take my whole arm to propel my hand, but also extend that index finger, and my pinky is already on string 2, and that's going to help me get from one chord to the next, or at least to get my hand to understand it. It may not be exactly the way that I play it, but this is to get us to be able to see it in the mind's eye, so we can plan it out and alleviate any unwanted stress or tension in that left hand that would otherwise be there because we're trying to rush it, or we just don't have a strong enough plan in terms of moving from one chord to the next. So that's very important. At the least, that pinky can just slide along string 2, and it's going to make it feel way easier to get into that C major 7, as opposed to just taking the hand off, leaping, And a lot of times when things like that happen, we're not even aware of it because all we're thinking is, I got to get somewhere else really fast, and then it just kind of gets all wonky. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when I was going from C major 7 to A7 here, leave ring finger in place, and the middle finger is going to jump up to string 6 fret 5, and you've got your A7 chord there. Okay, so back to the E minor 9. So the first note that we're going to play on, or I'm sorry, the E minor chord is string 6 open, and then string 4 fret 9, and then we're going to strum. All right? So we'll see as we transition back to start this chord progression all over again, I'm going to be getting fingers 1 and 3 in position, very familiar kind of power chord shape there, and then that middle finger can drop, so we're going to sequence that as well. So it's down on string 6, up on string 4, and then strum, down, down, up, and then I'm going to go to E minor 9, and I'm going to get string 5, fret 7 with my middle finger first. I'm going to pick that. As I'm picking that, these fingers are moving into position. Down, down, up, and then using that pinky as a guide to keep my fingers close to the strings. String 5, string 4, down, down, up, and then middle finger to string 6 fret 5. Pick that note, down, down, up. All right, again, without as much talking. A7 going into the E minor. Here I can use that ring finger to slide into string 4, fret 9. That's the first fretted note that I actually need, but I'm going to let finger 1 follow it as well and get into position, right? So from the A7, I'm going to slide that ring finger. I want to do that with as little noise as possible, but the idea is to have a guide for the hand. You're kind of creating these little chain links from one chord to the other as opposed to thinking of them as these individual things, all right? So slide into position, and as I'm doing that, I can pick that open 6th string. It's open, right? That allows me a little bit more time. Down on that 6th string open, getting finger 1 in position, pick up on string 4 fret 9, my middle finger's getting in position, down, down, up, E minor 9, down, 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 up, string 5, 4, down, down, up, and 6 fret 5, down, down, up. So you might find that you're getting some unwanted string noise, and there's ways to deal with that. Mostly it's going to be pressure and what part of our finger is making contact with the string, especially on the wound strings, right? It's wound, so we're moving against the grain there. But if you look back at the beginning when I'm playing it, I'm not thinking about all of those things as much. It's just kind of built into the relaxation of the hand, so I don't have excess movement is kind of the goal, right? We don't want to make our hand do something that is going to get in the way of what we're actually trying to achieve. And as far as I can see with myself and any of my students and anybody else, no matter who we are, we're kind of our own worst enemy if we just kind of go for it without kind of thinking about it first. We just get in our own way. All right, so let's just play through that a couple times. Down, chords down, make sure you understand how to get your fingers in position as relaxed as possible. Then work on the transitions one by one, right? Just go back and forth between an E minor and an E minor 9. And then an E minor 9 and C major 7. Just get your hand to understand that, get your eyes to see it. Once you're feeling that, then you can kind of put the rhythm with it, but not really worry about picking the individual strings. Mimic it, so you're not giving yourself too much to think about immediately, and then start putting in those single notes and making sure that you're sequencing your fingers properly. Okay, so like I said, it's I love these songs that offer a good amount to learn from in a very small package, right? We're getting a lot out of very little musical material. It sounds great. The chords go together very nicely. And there's going to be some challenges in there for you if you haven't done something like this before. And it's easier to learn that from 4, 6, 8 measures of music as opposed to having to learn 100 bars of different varied music. You'd be spending months on that, and I like to get some technical gains out of nice, neat packages. It works very well for our growth on the instrument. And then chorus real quick, again, that's just C major 7 and A7. And this is typically how I play my A7 with fingers 2 and 3 there. So I'm leaving finger 2 in position and just bouncing back and forth with my ring finger here from string 5 fret 3 to string 2 fret 2. Boom, 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 boom. Right, keeping a guide, or not really even a guide, just a pivot point there. So that chorus goes bass note, string 5 fret 3, down, up, down, down. That's the C major 7. Bass note, down, up, down, down, and then A7, down. Bass note, string 5 open, and then down, 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 down. I just do that all down. You might find yourself adding in a couple more strums. That's totally fine. The rhythm there can be tinkered with a little bit. So to put that together, I don't think it necessarily requires too much discussion here. When I play that at speed, I'm probably adding a couple of the strums. It's all about just maintaining the beat. And you also might hear that there's some strums there where I'm not hitting as much of the chord as I did a time before. All right? So I might be playing a C major 7, and one time I might go through all 5 strings, another time I might just get strings 5 and 4, 4, 3. So that's just playing around with dynamics and sounds, right? Making some moments seem a little bit bigger than others, instead of just kind of strumming. Just because we have our fingers on in position for a certain chord doesn't mean that we need to play all those strings every time, right? That's always going to sound a little too busy. It gets a little bit more interesting when we can break these things apart. Another thing I wanted to mention real quick about the verse section is, when you listen to the recording, you might hear some rakes in there, some other little noises in the transition. You might hear it in the beginning of the video when I played it. So, in my opinion, people tend to get a little too hung up on that at the start when it's not that important. It's usually just kind of incidental movement is what I call it. As you're grooving and your hand's moving, your right hand is doing what it needs to do, your left hand's doing what it needs to do, you're hearing the music, you know exactly what the rhythms are and the directions that you need to be moving. These things just kind of happen. So if you try to contrive it too much and just and force it in there, it ends up kind of sounding just not correct. So you want that to be a little bit more organic, if you will. And I would say, we were working from the ground up, right? Get your chords understand the chords, know how to get in the fingerings and all that. Transitions, start putting the rhythm together a little bit, and then start picking out the notes and sequencing your fingers. Because if you get caught up in, there's a mute right here, wherever in between strums, it tends to just throw a wrench in the works. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer those for you. I think easy song to have fun with and a lot to learn from it, and just a little bit of musical material. So have fun, guys. See you in the next video. Thanks.